Oh my god, finally, a game with working netcodes out. Yeah, sorry about blueballing you on that Nago video for the last... Again, I'm very sorry, but between school and job hunting, and then, starting my job, and then Guilty Gear Strive still not fixing its fucking netcode, broken lobby system, and hacking problems, I didn't feel super encouraged to make content around the game. I've been writing the Nago video in bits and pieces here and there, but when it does finally come out, it's probably mostly going to be training mode footage, because hoy gewalt, it is nearly impossible to consistently find matches in the online mode. You're either waiting for upwards of over half an hour just to get a game because you failed to obtain dual station information, or you do get into a game and it's someone seemingly running the game at 3 FPS and on a mobile hotspot, creating a garbage in-game experience. And if you're a good enough player to get into Celestial, congratulations! You have the added bonus of people hacking your games to make them even more unplayable, entirely just for the fuck of it. So I just decided to quit and wait for Street Fighter 6 to come out. And now it has come out, and it's probably the single most feature-complete fighting game I've ever played. It has an in-depth single-player story mode where you play as a custom character, it's got a cavalcade of mini-games and alternate game modes, and on top of that, it has excellent rollback netcode. And unlike certain previously discussed games, you can actually find matches without having to raid the impossible fortress of Zinch to obtain fucking dual station information. So hey, that's a win. However, I as a player am not super interested in all that stuff. I play fighting games to beat people up and to feel the satisfaction of improving at a skill. So for me, the most important parts of a fighting game are its tools for getting better at the game itself. That's training mode, combo trials, tutorials, and ranked matchmaking. This video is about that last one. See, Ranked had undergone some renovations since Street Fighter V. In Street Fighter V, your account just started at the lowest rank possible, Rookie 0LP, and you had to fight your way up a brutal Darwinian ranked system from the very, very bottom. This was no less than a Sisyphean task, with most people becoming eternally hard stuck in and around the high bronze to low silver area, because SF5's ranked mode did not actually help you get better at the game. Hey, this is Editor Sally. I just wanted to chime in and comment on how abnormal that is. If you play other mainstream competitive kind of games like League of Legends or Valorant, the ranked distribution tends to follow a bell curve. So there's very few people in the lowest and second lowest ranks. In the case of League of Legends, that'd be Iron and then Bronze. And then there's slightly more people in, Silver and Gold. Or rather, there's a bit more people in Silver, and then the majority of players are in Gold, right? But that doesn't exist in Street Fighter V, and in general, it doesn't exist in a lot of other fighting games. But, most people who play League of Legends or Valorant are capable of, with some level of, somewhat committed practice, getting to Gold. The medium rank of the game. And that makes sense, because if Gold is directly in the middle of the ranked system, then that would kind of signify that it is the average. But that is not the case with Street Fighter V, and it's not the case with a lot of other fighting games, where what few numbers we can verify make it seem like if you get out of bronze, you're immediately in the 98th percentile of all players who play ranked Street Fighter 5. Or I guess played, because now nobody plays Street Fighter 5. But I just wanted to make sure it's understood that is not normal. It is not normal for a ranked system to have such a centralization of players at the very, very bottom. It helped to prove how good you were already, but the system was not designed to help you break out of a plateau, but rather, in my opinion, to cultivate them. You need an example? Well, okay. Let's say you're a bronze player, and you can consistently beat everyone at base bronze and ultra bronze rank, so you're able to get to super bronze, where you start fighting low and mid silvers for the chance to join silver rank. Except, you're not good enough to get to silver. You aren't skilled enough to consistently beat silver players yet. In order to improve at this point, you would have to keep playing silver players as much as possible until you got good enough to beat them. Instead, for losing to silver players, you get booted back down to base bronze, where you have to start all over again. As we said before, you can consistently beat bronze and ultra bronze ranked players. Getting back to super bronze isn't a question of if, but rather when. So you bang out enough scrubs to get back to super bronze and once more start fighting silvers, except you haven't improved nearly as much by just beating people who are way below your skill level than you would have if you kept fighting silvers. So you're still not good enough to beat silvers consistently enough to get to silver, and you get knocked back down to base bronze, starting the cycle over again. You don't learn anything from beating up players who are significantly worse than you. You learn by finding a brick wall just above your skill level and smashing your forehead into it until you break the wall into millions and millions of pieces. So you're never going to get good enough to beat silvers by doing nothing but fighting bronze players. You're going to get good enough to beat silvers by playing silvers. This, along with the way Street Fighter V calculated LP gained or lost based on the current rank disparity between the two players, meant that Street Fighter V's ranked ladder was a Sisyphean hellscape where significant progress could really only be made by going on insane win streaks, where everyone would eventually get hard stuck in some kind of rank hell. Normally in other games, like League of Legends or Valorant, this kind of dynamic only exists in the lowest possible rank in the game, where even minor losses set you back to square one because you're only on square 2 or 3. Elo hell, as they call it. With Street Fighter V's ranked system, every rank is Elo hell. A game that recognized and solved this problem was Fantasy Strike. In Fantasy Strike, you gain stars by winning games, and maxing out the stars increases your rank. Losing matches loses you stars. Until you get out of gold, you cannot meaningfully go down in rank. You can lose stars, you can be stuck at 0 stars and be unable to progress further in rank, but you cannot be demoted to a previous rank, meaning if you're stuck at gold, you will continue playing golds until you are capable of beating them consistently enough to get to diamond. Then, when you're in diamond, you can be kicked out of diamond, but that's fine because I do genuinely think there should be a system that gatekeeps players out of the highest ranks in the game. If everybody in the world could get to Celestial by just grinding out as many matches as possible regardless of their skill, then it would be meaningless as a goal. This made Fantasy Strike genuinely one of my favorite games to grind ranked in, since whenever I did hit a brick wall, I had the opportunity to overcome it. So you can imagine my surprise and my excitement when I found out that Street Fighter 6 had literally the exact same system. Except, unlike Fantasy Strike, you also have placement matches to determine your starting rank rather than always starting at the lowest rank possible. So, how about we go through my placement matches so you can get an idea of the system. Before we go any further though, yes, as you've seen in the title of my video, I am bad at fighting games. I consider myself aggressively mildly above average. I've gotten to floor 10 in Strive before, but I've never been able to get to Celestial. That poor little hypothetical high bronze player who could only just barely not make it to silver? Yeah, that was me. I'm very much in the can win a 12 entrant anime convention tournament on a good day level of play. Even though I grew up playing fighting games, I didn't grow up taking fighting games seriously, and it's only since around 2019 that I feel like I've committed myself to getting better at these games, and progress is slow. However, I feel as though this makes my perspective somewhat valuable, as most of the people making content for Street Fighter 6 right now are members of the top echelons of the game's population. Several-time EVO and Capcom Cup winners, veteran professional commentators, high-ranked content creators, people who could be considered among the top 90th percentile or higher in the entire world in regards to skill at the game. As such, their experiences of this ranked mode will not necessarily reflect what your experiences will be, since they'll just, do their placement matches, get placed into high platinum or low diamond, and then skyrocket into masters. So the conclusions they draw from it almost certainly won't be yours. This is, of course, perfectly fine, but I do want to offer a bad player's perspective on this ranked system, and to do that, I want to tell you the story of my placement matches. So, the game just came out. This is literally day 2. I did some combo trials for my character, and spent some time in training mode. I've not trained much at all, but I've gotten a B&B, I've got a couple mix-ups, some pokes, and I generally know the purpose and role of my special moves. With that, we go into our first placement match. Small thing to note about me, I'm a very nocturnal person. I was recording this at 4:32 a.m. on a weekday, so I had every expectation that the queue would take a while. Oh, hey, we're already in a match. A classic control bronze 1 Ryu. Let's see what happens. If my memory from fighting probably a million bronze Ryus in Street Fighter V remain true, this guy's just gonna keep pressing buttons. Okay, so round 1 was a little scrambly, but as I predicted, low bronze Ryus basically just go ham and smash their face against their stick without any mind for stuff like plus frames or sense. So I'm about to exploit the shit out of that. As I said, all mashing and no sense. Right, okay, so maybe this won't be so bad. If everybody in bronze plays like this, I feel like I'm in good hands. Before we move on, I want to mention just how fast rematching someone is. Yeah, that's pretty fast if you ask me. This is a major issue with a lot of fighting games where rematching them just takes forever. with the most glaring example being Tekken 7, which fully reloads the entire game for every rematch.
Get ready for the next battle.
Jesus. If I'm trying to do a best of 3 set, I don't want to wait almost a full minute between every game in the set. Especially if each game isn't that much longer than 2 minutes anyway. Like, I don't understand what the problem here is. The game has already loaded all of the assets required to get a full match going. Why is it unloading them just to load them again for a rematch? Street Fighter V was also good about this, so it's not surprising, but there's still less wait since you can rematch even faster in Street Fighter VI. This is good, especially for people running first to 10s and other long sets. And on top of that, what do you mean I already have my next opponent? These queue times are amazing! My first match against Jamie was also a grim reminder that sometimes the gods will send agents of destruction hell-bent exclusively on exploiting your weaknesses as a person. And in this instance, this Jamie was sent by Freya herself to remind me that I need to anti-air more. Jumping in Street Fighter VI is incredibly dangerous because of your increased punish options off of stuff like Drive Impact. If you jump in with an attack, the opponent can often just Drive Impact that and get not just a full combo, but a full punish counter crumple combo. It's 2 in the morning when I'm recording this. Jesus Christ. Well, the counter to anti-air Drive Impact is to yourself input Drive Impact as soon as you hit the ground. But that's tied to a meter, and if the opponent baits it, then they can Drive Impact counter the Drive Impact you were using because you thought they were going to counter with a Drive Impact. I, however, still getting to grips with the game's basic controls and universal mechanics, did not realize this. Yeah, so I went 1-2 in this set, meaning now my full win count was 3 wins to 2 losses. I think this match shows more than anything that I have a tendency to lose my cool and sense of control when against high stress opponents who rush me down very relentlessly. Rewatching the set for the purpose of this video, he's basically just jumping in on me with no thought for risk or reward. If I just slowed down, thought about what I was doing, dropped my combos less, and generally just responded more calmly to his pressure, I would have demolished this guy. People like this rely entirely on an opponent's inability to deal with a bum-rushing opponent to get wins, but when you become the rock that splits the river in two, there's basically nothing these guys have left. Because the moment you force the pace of the match to slow down, you realize that these guys have no neutral. This lesson sunk in very quickly after the match, and I carried it into the next. My current record is 3-2, let's go into the next game.
Fight with all your heart.
Ready up!
So, I lost round 1, but in doing so I picked up on a lot of her bad habits. She has a tendency to use this move in neutral, even though against an aware opponent, that move is not safe to just throw out. She got away with it in the first round because I was too jittery from the tilt of the previous game, but I knew I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I gave up round 1 to counter guns, and I now have something of a strategy to beat her.
Round 2. Fight.
See? That's more like it. Doing Scutum to get the grab punish, as well as using anti-air super to punish the demon flip, all according to plan.
Round 1.
Game 2 begins, and my play is already far sloppier. I'm just jumping over her spinny instead of punishing it a bunch, and I'm consistently dropping my combos, accidentally inputting the wrong super, or simply dropping the combo from not doing anything at all after the second hit of the uppercut. I then take round 1, but oh no.
Time to recognize. I shall sit here and watch your dying pain. Here I sympathize. For you're living in that damn maze. Light the fire, burn to endeavor like crafted. Yeah, that's my name. Light the fire, burn to another kind. Time is now. There's nothing you can do. Ready up. Make you sacrifice. Count to 3. Ready up. Here's a chance to take.
So, it goes to game 3, but thankfully that means I've had 2 full games to install this lady.
He came from out of the world that we're never seen, never heard, never dreamed. We will be down in hell, burn to ashes, I'll lead in endless way. Choose your path now. Choose your path now. Choose your path now. Choose your path now.
I realized something very simple. Everything this Cammy does gets beaten by zoning her out with Marissa's stand heavy punch target combo. Even though in the overall Cammy matchup this isn't the greatest thing to throw out in neutral, it's a tool I haven't presented yet that punishes the predictable way this player uses Cammy's tools in neutral. Player matchup knowledge is sometimes just as good as character matchup knowledge. Our score after that set is 5-3, meaning we've done 8 of our 10 placement matches, which means regardless of the outcome of the next set, I'm going to at least have a 50% win rate in my placements. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I am not super excited to show you what happened in set 4. I have gotten player 2 almost every single time. It's on purpose, I swear. I seemingly just forgot how to block for the duration of this set. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the stress was finally getting to me because it was the last set of my placement matches. Maybe it was because at this point it was almost 5 a.m. Whatever. Regardless of the reason why it happened, he won because I basically spent this entire set running into his punches. He'd get me in the corner and I would just start pressing buttons in a panicked fugue state where I forget that parry, drive impact, and, fucking blocking exists, and I got rolled. Remember how I said worst comes to worst, my final record would be 5-5? Yeah, well, my final record was 5-5, and I got placed in Bronze 1 with 3,000 LP. As of recording this video, I'm currently Bronze 5, 4,700 LP, which means I'm already almost out of Bronze, which is nice. But yeah, this was the end of my placement matches. But, on the other end of it, what do I think of the ranked experience in Street Fighter 6? Well, I'm gonna be honest, it's probably the best online experience I've ever had in a fighting game. When Guilty Gear Strive came out, it easily had the best in-game online experience of any fighting game, but the broken lobby system and weird pseudo-ranked tower system ruined it for myself and a lot of people. And now the servers are so broken that you can barely play the game online at all. Street Fighter 6 is a very classic ranked mode. You hit a button and you get queued up with people who are also in your rank, and then you just wait for the game to match you with someone. Excellent. Easy enough, very frictionless. You're not waiting around for half an hour trying to obtain dual station information, so frankly, this is a win. But then, when you get into a match, you also realize that this game is incredibly smooth to play, even on connections with people from very, very far away. The queue times are also lightning fast. The game hit an all-time peak of 70,000 players on Steam in the first week, absolutely demolishing the peak player numbers of every other fighting game on Steam. The only game coming even close being Dragon Ball FighterZ, which, is Dragon Ball FighterZ, and yet still has just barely over half Street Fighter 6 peak player count. This, along with how good Street Fighter 6's netcode can make long-distance connections, means that you can find matches basically instantaneously. I can't believe it's finally happened, but Street Fighter 6 has finally done what no other fighting game before it has even gotten close to doing: replicating the smooth, effortless online experience of mainstream live service games like League of Legends and Fortnite. In conclusion, I truly think Street Fighter 6 might be the catalyst of a new fighting game golden age. Street Fighter 4 revived a dead genre and ushered in a new generation of fighting game players. And right now, I genuinely think we're going to look back on Street Fighter 6 a decade from now and say that it modernized a genre that was previously always a decade or so behind current gaming. And there's no better example of this than how truly effortless and expedient the ranked matchmaking system is. I have not seen this much hype and buzz around Street Fighter among both hardcore and casual audiences since Street Fighter 4. Hell, my brother, with a gamer diet of Forza, Call of Duty, and Destiny 2, picked up Street Fighter 6 and is having a blast. Regardless of your opinion on the franchise, personally, Street Fighter's never been a fighting game series I've been too invested in. Street Fighter has always been, and probably will always be, the spearhead of the fighting game genre into each and every new era. So, eventually I will make that Nago video. I'm very sorry for those who were excited for it, but I think I'm going to be making Street Fighter videos for a little while. I've never had a fighting game release light a fire in me quite like Street Fighter 6 has, and I can't wait to take you all along for the ride.